super excited to sit with you here.
Yes.
You're about to go off and throw the football, which is what you do. And we were having this great discussion about your work outside of football and your passion to create change with your Why Not You Foundation. Tell me about the mission of that.
Well, the mission of Why Not You Foundation, for everybody who's watching, everybody involved, it's to empower change in the world, one individual at a time. And I think, so many times we think about the big picture, right? But we miss the one individual. And I think the one individual, if we can change one kid at a time, one heart at a time, one soul, one adult at a time, as a result to that, it ends up being, a snowball effect. What we want to do is, if I can change this glass of water. This is a person here. If I can change this glass of water, and this glass of water can influence somebody else, then we have something going, rather than just focusing on the big picture. And I think sometimes, we get so focused on the big picture that we miss the one that's right in front of us.
I think that's such an inspiring idea that, kind of tag your it to the next person and to get that person to see themselves as an architect of change, someone who can imagine a better world, better community, a better life, and that they can move humanity forward in their own way.
Well, it's so true. I have a great example, and I know we mentioned this earlier.
Yeah.
But, about 3 years ago, there's this kid named Milton Wright, African-American male, 19 years old, very attractive kid, is actually a model, played quarterback, had a lot going for him, and it was actually his third occurrence of cancer. And every Tuesday I get to go to Seattle Children's Hospital, and every time you go into the hospital, every time I go into a new room, you never know what you're going to get,
right?
Because sometimes the kid is going through something that's so extreme. Sometimes the parents have tons of faith, sometimes no faith. Sometimes there's just so many different emotions there.
Yeah.
And so I go into this room, and Milton's, he only has 12 more hours left to live.
Wow.
And the doctor kind of grabbed me, and Carly, my foundation director of the Why Not You Foundation, she let me know that this kid only had 12 more hours left to live, and the doc came over and said, there's only one other thing that we can try. And Milton was not having it at the time. He was like, I'm just done. I've been through everything. I'm tired. I
want to give up.
Yeah, I want to give up, essentially. Yeah. And so a very, very kind of a sad situation. And so I went outside the room, talked to the doctor, talked to Carly, and there's one other thing they wanted to try. It was this T-cell research that Dr. Mike Jensen had been working on and hasn't really tried it on anybody. And so he said, I want to try this though. This is it's a great opportunity to maybe this is a miracle. So, go back into the room and try to, talk to Milton. And at first he wasn't having it. He's like, I don't know, man. This is it, So Milton said, this isn't it. Don't give up now, And so anyway, Milton ended up trying this T-cell research. And what they do is they take all the T-cells out of your body, regenerate them, and put them back in your body. Within 2 weeks, Milton was healed. No more signs of cancer.
Which is incredible. And then you told me that the next time you went to Children's Hospital, there was Milton in there doing the same don't give up, the same inspiring talk that you had given to him. He was passing it forward.
And that's such an amazing experience, because I'm coming out of another hospital room.
Yeah.
I turn left. Here comes Milton coming out of another hospital. He turns right. We run right into each other. I'm like, Milton, what are you doing here? And he said to me, I'm nervous that he's back into the hospital, And he said, no, man, I'm doing great. I'm actually gonna, I want to do great things, and I want to influence a lot of people. So I come here, almost every other day. I come to the hospital as much as I can. And I'm trying to influence these kids to keep believing, keep the faith. I'm trying to influence doctors to do more. I'm trying to influence the nurses, and just like you did for me. And that's just such a chilling experience, because that's what the Why Not You Foundation is all about, is giving back and also empowering others to empower others.
That's the key. I think I always say, and for anybody who's listening, each and every person is an architect of change. Each and every person has greatness inside of them, made by God, right? Each and every one of us can move humanity forward, be it for good or for bad. And those are examples of you actually stepping forward, inspiring somebody not to give up, using everything you've probably heard on the playing field, in the locker room, and passing it forward in a medical setting. That young man, he's living, right?
He's living. He's so happy.
And he's seeing himself as the solution, as the inspiration, as part of the change we all want to see. Yeah. That is so cool.
And there's so many other examples of that, but it just, when you think about how important life is, me and Sierra just got married. She has a little man, and he's awesome, good as can be, little baby future, but such a special, special kid. And I think about him and being a stepdad. I'm a stepdad now,
right.
And
you
it's
said to me that's one of the most loving things you can do. So anybody out there who is step
true.
parenting, who feels like, oh my God, I don't know how to do this, it's complicated, it's hard, you just put it in perspective by saying it's such a loving thing because you have to love a child that's not yours, right? And that you can.
Yeah, and that's I really found that out over the past year or so because, when I see this kid, he's only 2 years old, the most special kid, he's so sweet, so loving, always has a smile on his face, always joking around, always running around the house, and the important part about loving somebody and loving, especially as a man, being a stepfather in a situation where it's a little bit different, for sure. But ultimately, it's about loving the child because the child has the opportunity to do something amazing in his life. We want to cherish those lives, and especially in today's age, there's so much going on. In our society, there's so much back and forth, all the shootings that are going on. I don't want it to be my kid. I don't want it to be my child.
What do you think, Russell, that we can all do to make sure that it's not your child, it's not anyone else's child? How can we bridge that divide, heal those divisions?
Well, what you talk about in Architect of Change is exactly what it needs to be. The idea of Architect of Change, the key element of change is, first of all, in my opinion, is loving one another.
Yeah.
I think that's the ultimate thing to this whole process of this whole fixing of our whole nation, of our whole world that we live in. It's a lack of love. There's so much hate in the world. There's so much back and forth, and ultimately, like I said earlier, I don't want it to be my children.
Right.
I don't want it to be your children. I don't want it to be, I don't want it to be your children on TV who's watching this. Anybody who's watching this, that's the truth of the matter. And so, my faith is very, very strong,
right.
as you know, and it always comes back for me to that whole biblical aspect, faith, hope, and love. And 1 Corinthians 13 talks about faith, hope, and love, but the greatest of all is love. If we don't have love, we have nothing. And God put us all on this earth to serve and give back and to love one another. If we could just focus on that aspect, and just how can I love you better? How can I treat you better? How can I be more polite? How could I be there for you in time of need? And stop focusing on ourselves so much. Even for me, we live in this world where it's so easy for me to focus on me, right?
Yeah, that's right. And that's right. There's a lot of people focused on you too, right? So how do you talk a lot about, and this is something we'll talk about at another time, about, men, good men, men in professional sports how do you get them not to be so focused on themselves and use their platform to, talk about good men?
Yeah, well, I think it goes back to this concept of, and that's a great question. I think it goes back to this concept, this idea of surrender and surround. And you know, Pastor Judah.
Surrender and surround. Remember that. Surrender and surround. Explain
and
it.
what that means, the idea of surrendering. Me and Pastor Judah, my pastor, we always talk about.
Live TV. Everybody's moving.
Yeah, we're here.
Chairs.
This is reality here.
It's okay.
So that whole idea of surrendering, and surrounding. The idea of surrendering. First of all, surrendering to the cause. Right, for me and my faith, my faith with God, my relationships, my relationships with my wife, with my friends, with Sierra, and so many other people, to my teammates, surrendering to the cause of making those people better and to love one another. And then the ultimate idea of surrounding, I think ultimately we have to be able to surround ourselves with great people, people
who have your values,
who have our values, who want to do great things in the world, who want to empower, who want to be architects of change, and and ultimately, if we do that, it gives us a chance to be successful. So when I look at little man and when I think about kids and young ones, can we surround them as parents? Can we surround them with love? Can we surround them with great influence? Can we surround them with positivity, not negativity, but positivity? And I think for me, I always focus on the lack of negativity.
Yes.
I don't
mentally.
I think of it's not more lack of negativity that I can have, that I can share, more so than negativity. And it's not even just the thought of being positive; it's the idea of the lack of being negative. I don't want to be negative. It's bad energy. I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that space. And ultimately, for our children, for our kids to come, for all those that we love, for my grandkids one day. I want them to know that I was able to influence and empower and show love and give back. And that's I started the company Good Man brand.
Right.
And it's a high-end fashion clothing line, very similar to like a Rag & Bone or Vince. Every time somebody buys a jacket, a shirt, a pair of pants, shoes, we donate $3 to the Why Not You Foundation. Why Not You Foundation donates all the proceeds to higher inner city education. A lot of it starts with education
Right.
and influencing and
And
giving
not
back.
just education in schools, the education you get in your home, the
true.
education that you get by watching your dad, by watching your mom, by watching your teachers. There are educational opportunities all around us, right, every single day. I love what you're saying, surrender, surround, which leads to success.
Yes, so
I'm
true.
always alliteration, SSS, right there you have it. Surrender, surround, be successful, be positive, drop the negativity, and look for ways to be educated every day, even if you're not in a classroom, at any point in your life, right?
Yeah, you can learn so much. I was fortunate enough to go to college and get my education, I graduated in 3 years and all that. But some of the best lessons I've learned. I learned a lot of great lessons in college and school, and taking tons of notes and all
Yeah,
that. But
yeah.
but some of the best lessons I've learned is just through life experiences, and you have to understand each experience, each moment in life. Is a great moment to learn something new.
Right.
It's a great moment to grow even that much more, and even through the big games or the big losses in life or in sports.
Right.
We can learn from those, and I don't look at it as big games or anything like that. I just look at it as great moments, and all these moments that we have, we can take in and we can grow from them and we can build off of that, and I can learn for the next experience. Well, if it went really, really well the way I expected to, and even better than I expected to, or if it didn't go so well. And so that's from our relationships, our personal relationships, our love life, that's from our friendships, that's from our businesses. And I think ultimately it always goes back to the individual. How I treat you, how you treat me, how we look at one another, and how we care for one another. And ultimately I want to serve you. I want to give back to you, and hopefully you want to do the same. But I think a major key to all of this, though, is if we truly want to serve, we truly want to give back, I can't expect anything back.
Amen. There, I was just going to say that.
I can't expect anything back.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna love you, if I'm gonna love my wife, I'm gonna give you 100%. And even if you don't give anything back, you know what? That's on you. But I'm gonna do everything that I can to serve and give back to you, and see where it goes from there. And I think that's the life that we must live. And if we don't, it's gonna take us to a place that we don't want to go, and we're gonna lose people that we wish that we thought we had longer, and all these different moments. So, I think it's an important issue.
Well, I'm excited. I know you have to go off and throw the football, and I'm excited to be in this with you.
Yeah,
right?
we're in it
to
together.
be thinking about how we can heal, how we can unite, how we can move people forward, how we can learn to love unconditionally, how we can keep learning, how we can take losses and make them successes, and how we can continue to surround ourselves with people who want to do that.
Yeah.
And so thank you
Thank
for
you.
sharing
Thank
all
you.
of that, using your platform for good, and being having your eyes wide open enough to know that there are other people out there that could use your "Don't Give Up" and "Why Not You" message that I know came from your dad. So that's why I think the lessons are all around us. We just have to be open our eyes, open our hearts, and open our minds.
It's very true. Well, thank you so much.
He is an architect of change who challenges what is,
You are too, though.
imagines
You're an
what can
architect of
be,
change
and
as well.
moves humanity forward every day. God bless.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.